Hello, Simon.
Hello, Bruce.
Oh, goodness me.
How are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm happy as Larry. Thank you very much. How are you?
I am equally as cheerful as a fella called Larry. Apparently, a complete side note before we even get started.
Yes? Who's Larry?
That phrase was originally happy as a larrikin, and a larrikin was an old medieval word for a child.
Oh, right.
So, happy as a child.
Very good.
There you go. Drop the mic, off we go.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening to Factoraly.
My work here is done. So, hello everyone. Hello everyone who happens to be here with us in their ear holes.
Hi guys.
Welcome to another episode of Factoraly. By way of introduction, my name is Simon Wells.
And mine isn't.
Nice to meet you, isn't? I tell you what, just for today, I'll call you Bruce Fielding.
Okay, all right.
Just for today.
Most people do.
They do. They have a tendency.
Especially when they're using me. Oh, you come to that.
Yeah.
As a voice artist.
Yes, indeed.
Which is what we do.
That's what we do.
It's not how we define ourselves.
No, it's part of who we are.
Yes.
It's part of what we do. It's how we make our money.
Yeah.
When we're not doing that, I think I would more eagerly define myself as a nerd or a geek.
Yes.
Or a lover of facts. So we are here. We both love random and interesting facts. We are both that person who walks around the pub of an evening going, "Did you know?" Or "I read recently," or "Actually," etc., etc.
Quite. Although the one thing that we aren't is psychologists or researchers into any of these subjects.
No, we're not.
Because today's subject, we thought it was going to be a bit of a giggle.
Yes, bit of a laugh.
Yeah. But it turns out it's quite serious science. and there are brain surgeons who kind of get involved in this stuff.
Yes.
So
yes.
we are not brain surgeons.
No, we're not. So any facts and information we give to you today is based on nothing at all other than a quick Google search.
Yes.
It's stuff that we have found out through reading things. It doesn't come from any kind of place of qualification or professional experience.
Exactly. We know nothing.
Yeah, disclaimers, left and right. So, today we are here and we are talking about laughter.
Lol.
Lols. We're talking about lols, ruffles, pumsels, all sorts of things. Which is why we sound so cheerful and chipper. We have a certain routine before we start recording where we get ourselves into the mood by singing a certain little ditty. And today we did it in a laughing style, and it just cracked us up before we even began.
So tell me about laughter. What is laughter?
Laughter is a funny thing. Well, funny and funny.
Yes.
Humorous and interesting.
But we're not going to be talking about humour, are we?
No, well, I'm going to struggle to not talk about humour because when I think of laughter, I instantly think of humour. I instantly think of comedy and jokes and things that are funny that make you laugh. So there will be references to such things, but laughter is not just about humour. It's not just about finding something funny. That's quite a cultural thing. You know, different cultures will laugh for different reasons. Different cultures will find different things funny or amusing.
Unless you're Freudian.
Sure.
Because Freud suggested that laughter might be a reaction to undue repressed emotions.
Oh, that's so Freudian. That's just like him, isn't it? Kill the mood, Freud. So the word laugh, let's start with a bit of etymology. In Old English, it's a horrible spelling. It's full of H's and L's and more H's and that funny symbol called the diphthong, which may be pronounced a or may be pronounced I. But either way, the Old English word was hlachen. I won't do that again.
I'm just going to wipe my screen.
Yes, exactly. It kind of sounds a bit Welsh and a bit Gaelic. The German word was lachen, and there was a time when the GH was pronounced like a ch, and then the GH eventually became pronounced as an F. It became laugh, which became laugh.
I remember when I was learning Chaucer in school, they made us pronounce all the GHs in a ch sort of way.
Right. Someone's dochter.
Yes, exactly.
Things like that, yeah. Fine. People have been laughing, well, actually, not just people. Laughter is a response within various members of the animal kingdom.
It is.
Apes laugh. If you put apes in a group together, especially if they tickle each other, it seems to be that apes are quite ticklish.
As are rats.
As are rats. Yes, I found that as well. Isn't that bizarre?
I love this idea. Basically, if you're a researcher and you go to your lab every day and you tickle a rat, you can make it laugh.
Yes.
And if you do it every day for long enough, as soon as the rat sees you, it starts to laugh.
Really?
But tickling rats seems to be something that scientists do quite a lot of.
It's a hobby. Something to do, isn't it?
They laugh when they're playing. It shows that they're happy.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, they really. It's not just like a showing their teeth. Like sometimes you can mistake a smile for a grimace.
Yes.
The rats properly laugh.
Brilliant. Yep. So apes laugh. They make that sort of vocalization sound, and that's in response to being tickled, to chasing each other, to playing, teasing each other even. They get a big smile on their face and they sort of make a deep, breathy, chuckly sound. So it's not just us. There's
a thing where if you're playing with somebody and you're doing something which could be misinterpreted as violent.
Yes. Yes.
But if you laugh, then onlookers know that it's not serious.
Yes. So there are sort of various ideas of how laughter evolved into being what it is. So one of them is that it kind of deflects a potentially negative or dangerous situation. It also shows others that you are part of a social group. So I read that either we or apes or both are 30 times more likely to laugh in a group than alone. So it's a social thing.
Yeah, that explains like comedy gigs. Because if you listen to comedy on the radio or watch it on TV, you can hear people laughing, but you're not in the same room as them. So you don't really, unless it's an incredibly funny joke or story, you don't really laugh when you're on your own.
No, you might have a quick snort or a titter, but you won't.
But it's definitely a social activity.
Yeah. And it is catching. Just like a yawn, laughter is contagious. If you see someone else laughing, you will be inclined to laugh. You know, there are so many videos sort of floating around the internet these days of try not to laugh videos. And if that video contains someone else laughing, it's very difficult to not join in.
Well, you say that it's contagious.
Yes.
You're not talking about Tanganyika, are you?
Tanganyika, that's...
Tanzania.
Tanzania.
See, I love using old names for stuff.
Yes.
No, it's in 1962. Mm-hmm. There was an outbreak, a laughing outbreak, which lasted for a long time. Started in a school. Apparently one little girl started laughing in a school.
Yeah.
And it lasted for weeks.
Really?
There was an epidemic of laughter that went round all the schools in Tanzania. We have a blog on our website called Factoraly.com.
Factoraly.com?
That's the one. And I'll put a video that explains like the research that went into why this contagion spread throughout all these schools in Tanganyika.
Yeah. There's apparently a part of our brain called the premotor cortical region, which is triggered when you see someone, even just someone smiling, and this part of the brain gets triggered by that, and that part of the brain is partially responsible for facial expressions.
Right.
So you see someone pulling an expression or smiling or laughing, that part of your brain is triggered and automatically causes your face to do the same thing. So it actually is, physiologically contagious. So laughter is ancient. No one can say when laughter began. We've been doing it for forever. As I said at the beginning, I've found it quite hard to separate laughter and humour. So I went down a little bit of a dive around jokes, to sort of try and prove how long people have been finding things funny. Mm-hmm. And the first written down joke was from Samaria in 1900 BC.
Wow.
Which is quite a long time ago. I think something is lost in translation, but this joke says, "Something which has never occurred since time immemorial, a young woman did not fart in her husband's lap." Isn't that hilarious? Mm. It must have meant something to them at the time.
It might have been a reference to a stand-up routine that they'd seen in Samaria at some point.
Quite possibly. Who knows? But there are sort of records of, the pharaohs telling jokes and laughing. The Romans were quite big on jokes or at least witty puns.
Okay.
There was a Roman chap around 40 or 50 AD who wrote a book called the Philogulus.
Of course it was.
Which translates as the laughter lover.
Okay.
And it's sort of reputed to be the world's first joke book.
Interesting.
So Romans, great orators, speakers, philosophers would sort of stand up and insert jokes from this book into their speeches and their lectures.
Okay.
One of the jokes in this particular book went, I walked into the barber. This is obviously a rough translation, but I walked into the barber's. The barber asked me, how should I cut your hair? And I replied, in silence, please. And that was a joke in the Roman joke book. But so funny was it, Enoch Powell apparently used it whilst visiting the House of Commons barber.
But, I just laughed.
Yes.
But I didn't really laugh.
No, you didn't. You fake laughed.
Yeah, so fake laughter is quite interesting. Your brain can tell the difference between real laughter and fake laughter.
Yes, it can.
They've done laboratory research with this. And it's about understanding other people's emotions. So your brain is very good at telling whether somebody is actually happy or if they're just not really that bothered.
Yeah.
Just laughing to, be polite.
Right. Although your brain can tell the difference between real laughter and fake.
Yes.
It seems that your body can't.
Oh.
So if you induce yourself into a fit of laughter, even if it's false, your body will do the same things that it would do if you were having a real laugh. And they say that laughter is the best medicine, which apparently is taken from a proverb in the Bible.
That's right.
A merry heart does good like medicine.
Interesting.
And, there are extensive research studies into the physical symptoms and side effects of laughter.
Isn't there a therapy? There's kind of like a yoga therapy, which is laughter therapy.
Yeah, so I've actually met a chap at a networking event in the past who is a laughter therapist. And he goes into workplaces and he does constructed laughter sessions at the beginning of the day. He doesn't tell jokes. He doesn't do anything funny. He does breathing and stretching and things like that. And then he says, right, now we're going to laugh for 5 seconds. Everybody make yourself laugh. And it sounds ridiculous. It sounds fake. It sounds ungenuine.
Yes.
But after you've done it a couple of times, you inherently start to find it funny because, look, we're all here in an office in our suits and we're laughing. Isn't that silly? So you actually start to laugh. But, it gets the blood pumping. It changes your respiration rate. It's sort of a little bit of a workout in your stomach muscles,
But also, it's a bonding thing. So if you're laughing together with somebody else, then you feel an affinity with that other person who's also laughing, even if you're not laughing at anything.
Yes.
And it's a very good, as you were saying, for like, in work, a bonding exercise can just as easily be, either, falling backwards into somebody's arms or just laughing together.
Yes.
But it is, you're saying it's good medicine.
Yeah.
It is good for your health. They used to say that you burnt a lot of calories when you laugh.
Yes, they've changed their mind about that now, haven't they?
They have.
They say you don't.
No. So it's basically for every 10 to 15 minutes of laughter, you burn about 10 to 40 calories.
Okay.
So, to put that into context, if you laugh solidly for 3 hours, you just about burn off a packet of ready salted crisps.
Oh, that's not worth it. That's not worth it. So not so great at calories, but it increases endorphins. It actually causes you to feel happy.
Yes.
Studies suggest that it increases your memory. It reduces stress and anxiety.
Yep.
It increases certain immunoglobulins in the body, which are part of the immune system. It could actually boost your immune system. Prolonged laughter increases pain tolerance. It does all sorts of things, and therefore people actually use it. We're sort of familiar with the idea of having a clown or a comedian go around the hospital wards to sort of, boost people's morale and so on. But it actually boosts physical health as well.
Yes.
Doctors have sent people to improv classes in order to stave off the symptoms of Parkinson's disease.
Wow. It's good for marriages and stuff as well, actually.
Okay.
There's a chap called Bob Levinson, Professor Bob Levinson, who asked couples to discuss something which would annoy them, like a touchy subject.
Yeah.
And he encouraged some couples to laugh and smile when they were talking about it. And they felt much better about this problem that they had.
Really?
and there's proof that couples who laugh together stay together for longer.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it's something that we can that makes us, like I was saying with the bonding, it's part of that. It's that if you laugh together, you feel closer.
Yes.
So psychology.
Yes.
There's a chap called Richard Wiseman.
Right.
Who created a thing called Laugh Lab, which is a web-based international experiment to find the world's funniest joke.
Okay.
Which I think we probably all know the world's funniest joke.
It's that one in the Monty Python sketch, isn't it? It has to be written on several pieces of paper. It's so funny that no one person was allowed to read the whole thing.
No. This is the one about a couple of guys in a hunting party.
No, I'm not familiar with it. Then.
Are you not?
No.
So this is the world's funniest joke. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So there are two guys go hunting. One of them falls over and cracks his head. And the other one goes, oh, my God, he's really hurt. So he calls the emergency services. And they say, OK, no, don't panic. First of all, you need to make sure that he's dead. So there's like silence. Then there's like a pow. And then he comes back to the phone and he goes, OK, now what?
See, I find that mildly amusing.
Yeah, mildly amusing.
I'm not so sure I would say it's the world's funniest joke.
According to Dick Wiseman, it is the funniest joke in the world.
Measured by what system of metrics?
Well, I'll put a link in the show notes to his research and to the Laughter Lab.
Okay,
but he's testing all these things. I mean, mostly they sound like they were dad jokes.
Yes. See, I'm quite partial to a dad joke.
I love a dad joke.
I'm not sure they're dad jokes. I think they're just good jokes. They're just funny. One of my favourites is I was sitting at a baseball game the other day and I couldn't understand why the baseball seemed to be getting larger and larger. And then it hit me.
Yes.
Great.
I did come across one which I love. I think it's a great joke. So a skeleton goes into a pub, goes up to the bar and he says, can I have a pint of beer and a mop?
Very nice.
I like that one.
I read that back in the 1400s, laughter was actually frowned upon in certain parts of the world, especially sort of in Western Christian areas.
Yes.
Laughter was seen as being quite vulgar, quite hedonistic and frowned upon. And you couldn't laugh in polite society. It just wasn't the thing to do.
Yes.
And slowly over the years, that's obviously changed, and we all now think it's a very good thing. So from culture to culture, era to era, laughter may or may not have been connected to humour as much as it is now. I think of laughter now and I instantly think of funny videos, jokes, comedy, stand-up.
Yep.
But as we've said, you can laugh from being tickled, although not everyone. I know some people who hate tickling. That's absolute anathema to them. But you could laugh just from, I know, someone falling over or saying something in a particular way.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be funny per se, but for some reason it just triggers that reaction in you.
Interesting. So you don't have to find something funny to laugh. But it's also, sometimes it's about timing. I mean, there's a great joke about sort of why don't scientists make very good comedians timing?
Brilliant.
So the way that you deliver something can also be funny and make people laugh. And the laughter is part of the communication.
Yes. And even just sort of silence can be, an awkward silence can be funny. I remember seeing a play years ago where the first three whole minutes was silence. It was just a person standing on the stage in silence. And at first it was odd, and then it was intriguing. And then for some reason it became funny and people started laughing. And that was the whole beginning of this actor's monologue. So some things we just find amusing even if they're not.
Yes. They say you can laugh somebody into bed.
Right.
They've done a study of personal ads and discovered that both men and women specified a sense of humour. Like GSOH.
Yeah.
More frequently than intelligence, education, profession, or sex drive.
Really?
So the idea that, you find somebody more attractive if they laugh at your jokes.
Right, yeah, okay.
And that's part of this sexual attraction thing.
Yeah. And I suppose that's also the fact that the other person is hanging on your every word and paying attention to you and listening intently to what you're saying and that sort of thing. So that sort of builds up a rapport and a relationship, doesn't it?
Yes.
You can also laugh yourself to death, which I've heard, but I never assumed was actually true. But apparently this has happened. I found a whole list of instances going all the way back to ancient Greece to the modern day, where people have laughed so hard. They haven't necessarily died directly from laughing, but the laughter has caused a heart attack or a loss of breath or whatever it might be. So you can actually laugh yourself to death.
That's interesting because I have had problems with my heart in the past.
Yeah.
And I was told by a consultant that actually if you feel that your heart needs a bit of a kickstart, one of the best ways of doing it is either to cough or laugh.
Really?
And apparently that's a very good way of, this could be a life-saving tip here on Factoraly.
I suppose it causes your chest to convulse in a fairly rhythmic pattern.
Yeah.
And sometimes quite violently so. So, yeah, I can sort of see that could shock your heart back into working.
No, absolutely.
I'm not sure I would necessarily feel like laughing at the time, though.
There is a phobia of laughter.
Is there? Called?
Gelatophobia.
Gelatophobia.
Well, this is the fear of being laughed at.
Oh, I see.
So characterised by atypical laughter processing in the brain. Those who suffer from gelatophobia react to all laughter as if it's at their expense. In other words, there's no we're laughing with you or even we're laughing near you. It's always we're laughing at you.
Laughing at you, yeah.
And they don't trust friendly laughter. If someone's just enjoying themselves.
Right.
There's a psychologist, the guy called Willebach Ruch, I'll put a link to his research in the show notes.
Yeah.
There's a global survey of more than 15,000 potential gelatophobes, which found that people in Finland, which is seen as a largely egalitarian society, are the least likely to believe that people laughing in their presence are laughing at them, whereas 80% of respondents in Thailand believe this to be true.
Really?
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah.
What a cultural difference.
So you can be scared of laughter. What does the Book of Guinness have to say about laughter?
So, as we've already discussed, it's quite difficult to separate laughter from humour. I found a lot of records about jokes and comedy and stand-up and things like that. But I found the longest recorded laugh. Now, this threw me off at first because it didn't come from the Guinness Book of Records. It came from the Harvard Book of Records, which I didn't know was a thing. Apparently it is.
No, I've never heard of the Harvard book.
Anyway, the Harvard Book of Records records a gentleman called Rajendra Kumar from Rajasthan in India.
Yeah.
In February 2022, he laughed, and again, I don't know whether this is a put-on laugh for the record or whether he just found something immensely funny. But 3 hours, 47 minutes and 54 seconds.
Sorry, how long?
3 hours, 47 minutes, 54 seconds is the world's longest laugh.
Wow.
Now, I can't help thinking that you would have asphyxiated, passed out, had a hernia, anything in that time.
Yes.
It just seems a phenomenally long time for me.
Wow.
Another record was the longest laughter therapy class.
As we've spoken about, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Various instructors got together and sort of created this continuous therapy session where people came and went. This was again in India, actually, in Uttar Pradesh in 2018. This lasted for 36 hours and 2 minutes.
Fun country.
Yeah, seems it.
Well, I'm all laughed out.
I'm all laughed out as well. Yes, I am cracked up.
So before we go, we need to do those podcaster things. What do we want them to do, Simon?
Well, if people have enjoyed listening to us, then the most natural thing to do would be to go on to whichever podcast player they have used and to give us a lovely 5-star rating and a bit of a review.
That would be great.
Wouldn't it? You could feel free to go out and tell your friends about this show.
Yes.
So that they can join in the fun and games as well.
When you're out for a laugh. And of course, they've probably already subscribed, haven't they?
Oh, I'm sure they have.
You think?
Yeah. They've had a lovely little notification pop up on Thursday morning saying, "Hey, it's Factoraly time."
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a Facebook page.
We do.
If you want to go there, you can go there and complain about us, or if it's a real proper complaint, you can email us at hello@factoraly.com.
You can,
and tell us what we got wrong.
We love a good correction every now and then. If you've found any facts that are more interesting than the facts we've presented, then come and tell us.
Yes, absolutely. Because you'll then be one of those people who go, actually, I think you'll find.
Yes, indeed. Join the gang. So that's it for another fun-filled, laughter-loaded episode of
Factoraly.
Thank you for coming. Please come again next time. Bye-bye.
Au revoir.